number 4. We're here at Midland Baseball, Tennessee. We've been at Midland Baseball, St. Louis, but now we're here in Tennessee. We got some great stuff for you. We're getting ready to go. Are we fired up?
We're fired up.
There you go. That's right. Fired up. Let's get going.
Right? We're just staying balanced and we're going that way with the baseball. Good lead. If it's a ball, we don't swing. First one don't count. Breakfast ball.
Good afternoon. My name is Randy Griggs, one of the original founders of what we call Midland Baseball of Tennessee 12 years ago here in Franklin, Tennessee. So I'm currently acting as the treasurer and the coaching director for the organization of board members of about 15.
Travis Copley, one of the founding members as well, current vice president here with Midland, kind of jack of all trades, master of none, handle the uniforms, help Randy with coaching stuff and tryouts and things like that.
So a little bit about the organization. Obviously, we started this thing 12 years ago as a nonprofit. Here in Franklin, we were a different name. We've converted over the last year to the Midland brand. And so we started as a nonprofit with the idea and the concept behind keeping the fees as low as possible for all the Middle Tennessee players. Travel baseball is expensive, as most people know. At the end of the day, we tried to keep it relatively inexpensive through the nonprofit. Good news is we have a significantly engaged board from that perspective. So we have 12 members now, growing to 15, and we split up the work and try to keep it the way it is. We do a lot for the advancement of the coaching and the players. So I don't know if you want to talk about that.
I said we both had boys when we started. They were 9 or 10 years old.
Yep.
And one of the things we sat down and talked about is we kind of identified a need that was missing here in Middle Tennessee. And that was the affordable travel baseball component, but also with the indoor component as well. We've been very, very fortunate over the years that we've always had an indoor home. That's changed locations several times, but it allows our kids that want to work out year-round that ability to do so. Currently, we're here in Franklin with our indoor facility that we run 23 teams throughout the year. Obviously, our high school kids will take a break here in the next couple weeks as we turn them back over to their high schools. But it's a facility that gets used nonstop throughout the year with all ages. Both of my boys ended up being baseball-only kids when they got to high school. So we kind of, I don't know that we thought about that part of it, but when it came to that point, when our boys were really invested in the high school side of it, they always had a place to come work out, whether it was us coming to throw BP or whether it was their coach with Midland coming and doing ground balls, work, pitching, hitting. That spot was always available to them, and that was very valuable for us as an organization.
You know, and one thing I'll add that I think is important, we've always encouraged our older kids in the older programs to come down and help work out with some of the youngers. We would like to do more of that, but we've done a significant amount of that in the handful of the last 4 or 5 years of bringing some of those kids down. Now, my son's aged out, just like one of Travis's sons, and they've aged out. He's at Alabama today, but at the end of the day, he comes back and coaches with us. So he's coaching on our 16U team now as an assistant coach in the summer, and then coming back even here when he can drive up and work out with that particular team and work with some of the kids. Having people that are in the program be in a position to be able to come back and help the younger kids love it. And for my son, he's learning great skills on the ball field that I don't think he would have if he was coaching as an assistant with me. Having him with another coach, has made a world of difference in his growth as an actual baseball coach one day.
Yeah, and I think our older kids, they don't understand the value of that to them while they're doing it, but once they're away from the program and they're in school, is that they see the impact they could have on people behind them, whether it's younger kids in baseball when they get into the job world, And it's kind of a byproduct of what we do. Like, yes, we're very dialed in on what happens on the field, but also away from the field. We want to have a safe spot for the kids to come in and work out, get to know each other, build those relationships not only with the other players on their team, but other players within the organization, other coaches within the organization, so that those life lessons outside the baseball field continue on with them as they get older.
Right. I'll also add about all of our teams. One of the things we pride ourselves on is maintaining a really good coaching staff. And so I say this with anyone who's in our organization that sees this: our coaches are what makes or breaks us. It doesn't matter whether I've got young dad coaches at the younger age groups or what I would consider more professional coaches, high school coaches that are used to getting paid to coach. Our coaching ranks are as good as they've ever been, and we've been very fortunate to not have a lot of turnover year to year. And I think part of that is that we offer a very, very fair value for what we pay the coaches, number one. And two, we give them, especially at the younger age groups, some development. They have access to myself and Travis and Barron and Doug, and we do a tremendous job of going out to their practices if they need help and talking to them on the phone through practice planning, et cetera. So we try to make sure we develop the dad coaches that when they get to 13, we can turn them over to a paid coach and they will be fundamentally ready to go to a paid coach.
Right.
It's kind of the
yeah, and then one of the nice things about our board is that most of us have playing experience at high school, college, and even pro ball. All of us have coaching experience at some level within amateur baseball. And so I know, like last year with one of our 16-year-old teams, there was a couple weekends that we were short a coach. So I just grabbed my Midland shirt, put it on, and went and helped coach. And so that's a very big deal for our coaches, that you don't have to have 4 or 5 coaches because of other commitments with jobs. Hey, we need you to invest in the kids, take your knowledge and impart that on them, and then allow us to help out wherever we can help out.
Yeah, no doubt. One really important thing for everyone to realize here in Middle Tennessee, and a lot of people may not know this, we have 2 national teams, and Doug can speak a little bit more to that probably in a minute. But the 2 national teams that we have that are the Midland Redskin national teams, Matt Shadow was gracious enough to realize that the teams that we have here at the 14 and 15U level were 2 of the best in the country. And so the 14U Redskins is our first national team at 14, and then the second one is the 15U National Redskins team. So right here in Middle Tennessee, there's 2 national branded teams and there's players from all over the Southeast for sure on those teams. Highly competitive. Vast majority of those kids are going to go on and play at probably a very high level in college, whether that's Power 5 or not. Just a great opportunity for Middle Tennessee's Midland. Great.
Yeah, and it gives the kids that are younger or maybe not on that team this year something to look at next year. Just the way we work our tryouts, it's just because you're on Team A or Team B one year doesn't necessarily mean that's the same. It may not be the best fit for you moving forward. And so we do have that luxury with 23 teams spread across multiple age groups, that we can kind of commingle those rosters when we need to make sure that we're putting our kids in the best spot to succeed and our teams in the best spot to succeed.
One thing is our 2 national teams are well coached, obviously, and if you look at their practices, I've been to them and I've made comments on them that they're like college practices. That's how well they're run. And so part of the development of coaches, both of those coaches are open to having our younger coaches and even the other high school coaches show up to their indoor, show up to their outdoor, to have those time spent being able to look. Matter of fact, the team you were filming today consistently works out with our 15U national team at another location here in Williamson County. And that is invaluable, to see what I'd consider a college level practice and be able to disseminate that to other coaches. It's just an outstanding environment. And to have the coaches willing to do it is even better.
Velocity. So when we were here Thursday night, one of the strong pitchers on Barron's, Coach Barron Mathis' team, 16, taught Josh a drill or 1 or 2 drills with the medicine ball. We intentionally had him teach Josh, and we want Josh to teach you guys this drill. It's really going to help with your hips and pitching and helping with your velocity, all right? So go ahead, Josh.
All right, start from the beginning.
So he taught us, or the guy that I was working with, he taught us two things. First drill, you get in your landing position. You want this foot to be slightly open. Most of your weight on your back foot. Your hips haven't fired yet. And you just fire your hips and throw the ball at the same time.
You're here, right? And you're here because when you do this, and then you go forward and you carry this leg over, this foot's going to go straight, right? But you don't want it coming flying open, right? Just like when you're pitching, right? So you're here, fire, and then push and come over, all right?
Do it one more time for us, Josh. One more time. Show us one more time. This will be one of our drills over here. We plant, we fire, all right? We fire. Make sure that you guys use that, push off your backside, right? And we really fire through the zone, okay? Really work on that. Be intentional.
And second drill, you want to probably be a little close to the ball. Again, get in your landing position. And then as you're firing, it's the same thing as you're working on hip, like firing. And you want to fire this knee aggressively, like straight into the ball. Pretty much. And you want this foot to stay dragging. Like you want it to be here, you don't want it to be here like you're hitting. Stay here. That's pretty much what you do. You get in your landing.
Cool.
What about the overhead one? Do that one too?
Yeah. The overhead one is the same thing. You get like this, like you're running. You're just pretty much right here. And this one's working on like this foot, back foot. You don't want it to be stiff like this. You want to be slightly like bent so you can carry your momentum over. And this knee, like, okay, here's pretty much.
Good.
He was working a lot like for this knee. You want this knee to extend as you're throwing, and that'll like kick up your back foot and get your momentum going forward.
What does that teach you, fellas? What does that teach you? When we're on our front side, right? If we get too much on our front side, right, when we're firing and we get straight legged here, that's no good. But when we are firing, right, and we're low and we are in a strong position here, okay? When that knee fires through, this leg is gonna go straight, but it's look where it's angled. It's not angled here, right? If we're straight up and down and we're over our front side, we're gonna lose every bit of power that we have from our hips, from our backside, right? So we fire them through aggressively, but we don't get to a point to where we put ourselves in a bad position, right? All right, so when you guys are over here working this, be mindful and remember, what do we do in practice? If we're not mastering something right away, what do we need to do?
Take it slow.
Slow it down, right? Slow it down. It's no good if we do drills wrong, because we're teaching ourselves what? Bad habits, right? Bad habits. Be intentional, slow it down if we need to. This is the time when we can do that, right? That's perfectly okay. If you're doing something new for the first time, that's all right. It takes time to get better at it, right? It takes time to get better. I'm still learning things about baseball, guys. I'm almost 30 years old. You guys are how old? 15? Almost gonna be 16? You guys gonna keep learning stuff as you go on, all right? So just keep it up. Inside half of the baseball, right? Don't push through and let them drift out, right? Stay through, down hard on the inside half and fire. Fire right here. Once you get here and you see it, I want to see that. I want to see everything coming here, out, right? Don't get caught just because it's an inside pitch. Remember, we don't have to spin off if it's an inside pitch. We just have to get it at a better point, right? So recognize earlier, and then we have a better chance of getting that inside pitch, right? when you feel that spin off, right, make a mental note. When you feel yourself do that, mental note. Don't do that again. Don't do that again, right? Better. Good. Let's go, you got two. You got two more. Cyrus getting ready. Finish. Here you go, one more.
It's so cool to be able to, for you all to hear a little bit about the history of our program. I'm certainly proud of it over more than a decade's worth of kind of building from what was originally one team. Really with a couple dads passionate about the game and trying to figure this out and doing it in a high quality, pairing high quality with high value. So I'll tell you a little bit about how things have matured over the last 12 years in my role. So I'm the president of the organization. We have a wonderful volunteer group, wonderful group of about 50 coaches, about 275 boys that we get to influence in Middle Tennessee. Made up of 23 teams starting from 8 years old all the way through high school. And the cool thing about travel baseball, as most of you know, it has gotten more rigorous, more expensive, difficult to enter. And we're seeing kids younger and younger trying to figure out getting into it. And so we built a program where we tried to make that conversion of youth sports, youth baseball, playing 4, 5, 6U, and a soft landing into travel baseball really, really easy for a parent. And so what we've done is we have an entry point at 8U, typically in our program, and we'll, for the most part, be a dad-coached organization up through about 12U until big field. And as you heard from Randy and Travis earlier, the quality of any program is contingent really on the caliber and quality and character of the coaching staff. So I'm going to introduce Barron in just a second, who is 3 roles with us, both a coach, our college recruiting director, and serves on the board as well. So Barron, why don't you talk a little bit about your 10-year group, and I want you to talk a little bit about your college recruiting endeavor as well.
Absolutely, I would love to. This is my 6th year with Midland. I've been very fortunate to find these guys and kind of a home. Baseball is an addiction, that's what I call it, so it's my life. It's all I do. I do coach the 10U team, which is a lot of fun. I also coach the 16U Premier team, which is a lot of fun. 2 totally different dynamics, but I do the college recruiting coordinating for basically all of our teams that are 14 and up, and there are several. And what that means is what we're trying to do at the 10U level is just understand that this is a family environment, that you can continue through the Midland family all the way until you age out and you graduate high school. And if college baseball is something that you want to do, that we help you find a way to do that. It's not a guarantee, obviously, but it needs guidance, and that's kind of my role. Our 10U team, I had them since they were 8. So it's been an experience there. We had 8U, and then some of them move at 9, and then 10, and we'll continue to do that all the way until we get to what Doug was talking about, to the big field, and then you start all over at 13 and realize how big that field actually is. 13, 14, we start really learning the process, especially in the wintertime, which is where we are right now, and how open this indoor facility is, and you teach the kids how to do very specific training, how to get better on your own, individual drills, and do you really want to play college baseball? Do you really want to? And most of them will say yes, and that's fantastic. But here's how you do it, and it takes a lot of work. So I'm in a fortunate situation where I've got the 16U guys, and I've got the 10U guys. So a lot of my 16-year-old kids will come to our 10-year-old practices. And it's important because you teach servant leadership. You teach the older guys will remember how the game was fun, remember all the kids laughing. This game wasn't so serious all the time. And the 10U guys absolutely love seeing the older kids. And what ends up happening, we'll go to Game 7 tournaments or whatever tournaments, and the older kids will come and watch these guys. And they'll be in the dugout and promoting them and clapping and all that kind of stuff. And likewise, and when the older kids, the high school guys, finish their high school season and we start our tournaments and we travel, the younger guys will come out and watch them too. So it truly is a family, and that's what we're trying to establish. I know it sounds cheesy, but when we break down at the end of our practices or games, it's 1, 2, 3 Midland, it's 4, 5, 6 family, and it's meaningful.
Love it. I get the fortunate that one of my oldest, who's been in that program since he was 7U, now 16U. He's been over a decade with the program. And the cool thing is I get a first row seat to kind of see how that community of older guys working with younger guys. And quite honestly, I think the older guys get as much from it as the little guys do. So that's been really powerful. And I think a couple of things that was really important to us as a program to do a little bit differently, I think we're different, but I'm biased, is I mentioned the quality, high quality and value for what you spend, because it's expensive to do this stuff. And it's a lot of work to do this stuff. We didn't dive into this endeavor 11, 12 years ago thinking that we're going to have 23 baseball teams, 500 parents that we have to walk alongside with, and 275 boys that we get the pleasure of influencing in this game. And it's amazing to watch the growth of kids when they start at 8 and as they mature through the process, and how this game can influence not just how they play and their stature, but just their character building and their life skills growing. It's amazing. So blessed for that, and I get a front row seat with my 16-year-old who gets to help Barron in his 10 U's, and he gets as much from it as I'm sure your 10s do. The other thing that was really important to us is that we wanted control of our own internal or facility kind of dynamics. It is a powerful kind of tool for us to have where we can actually work out regardless of weather. In Middle Tennessee, it's hot, and like last week, 9 inches of snow. You never know what you're going to get, but we always want to have the program live and active and giving boys opportunities to stay engaged with the game healthily. So we have our own indoor space that we get to kind of drive what does that look like, and how we get to opportunities to pair different age groups together. With those 23 teams, most age groups have multiple teams in each of those given age groups. So how do we blend and work those boys together? How do we make the community of those coaches stronger together? How do we adopt different types of trainings inside versus what we do outside? And how do we share best practices across a group of 50 coaches and 23 teams? The last thing I think that's kind of important is how do we be a program in development. And so one of the reasons why Midland, one, certainly great reputation, one of the best amateur programs in the country. Humbled that we get to be a part of that and wear this brand in a state that's outside of the Midwest is really where the footprint was. And so we're excited about what the growth of that means for us. In addition to, Randy mentioned a little bit of the access to more of a national stage. That's fantastic. But what selfishly I really find value in is the breadth of infrastructure, the training within the Midland app, thousands of training modules that we can push on our coaches and boys all the time to be working is really, really powerful. And just the ability for us to manage this in a really efficient way, it has really amped up our capabilities to do the mission of this work that we set out to do 10, 12 years ago.